150 houses built out of hemp. There we don't need to even think that it's hemp. It's a product that does all these things and it's affordable. Phil Warner Research Institute, 30 years in the hemp business in Australia and overseas. I think it's doing really well. I mean, the original concept when we started this project with La Trobe University was about defining how hempcrete and hemp construction could be both affordable and plentiful, and how we would set that up. So the idea was that it was a forum rather than a conference of people who've got some technical knowledge or some product to come together and see all the other people who are doing a similar thing, so there's greater collaboration and hopefully moving forward at a faster rate. It's actually highlighted a lot of things that other people would not have possibly thought about had they not come. So it really exposes those who are interested to the full gamut of what's involved, other than probably plant breeding, but the growing, the processing, the supply, the products, even the financing, the accreditation, the life cycle analysis, all those elements. It's good to be in a place where all of those people are there to be able to answer those questions and give a contribution and make contacts with people. So the people here, I'm in the Research Institute side of things, I put money into these sort of projects so that people can achieve something. But so it's good for them, those that are working at it, to actually hear all those different perspectives and understand more about the entire working chain or the value chain that it involves, and it's quite a big one. This is where academia and practical reality cross over, which is great, because academia can sort of head off in directions that aren't actually achievable on the ground in a commercial situation, and vice versa. The commercial situation may not be open or understand opportunities that academia can contribute to it in the sense of numbers and data and things like that. So it's really a good place for people to cross over and learn more and be more confident in where they're going and what they're doing. So it brings a lot to that to the industry in that form. My job was to entertain last night, and it was just trying to put people in the frame of mind that industry and the way things happen come out of the blue. I mean, I can tell hundreds of real-time stories of the hemp industry in Europe and America and China, where I've been involved in all of those areas, as well as Australia, of course. Yeah, it's just picking stories out that are entertaining, but have a little message in them as well. Yes, I'm funding the research that they've undertaken in affordable carbon housing. I came to them with the concept, and they were to research it, and we're going into phase 2 and 3 later on, which is the full value chain blueprint to industry for about 5 to 7 years out, what has to be achieved before all the parts of the value chain are in place, what targets of cost that they will need to achieve as the different groups in the supply chain to have a viable industry for the future. And so that blueprint will help people target what they need to do as a guide to have that chain come together, because they're all different businesses on the way. You know, you've got your farmers, and you've got your contract harvesters and processors, and you've got your refiners and all that sort of stuff. Then you've got your councils and your builders and your product manufacturers using the materials. They've all got to have profit centres, and so what we're trying to achieve is a flow through a price point from the farm gate, or even before the farm gate, to when the building is built, and that someone has to afford to actually be able to buy that or live in it. And it's really pitched at what is the competitor with the same, or are there competitors with the same benefits environmentally or carbon-wise or health-wise or insulation-wise or fire-resistant-wise. Is there a competitor that we have to worry about? Or is there a benchmark we have to achieve that's going to compete financially with that, so we've got a leg in to developing the industry in a much larger way? So if we don't do that in practical terms, then it's all just wishful thinking. Back to academia, it's wishful thinking in a lot of ways, but putting it into practice is what it comes down to. You have to have the data, the imperial data that's there to convince those that make those decisions. But you can also not have to worry about them making a decision. You're just offering them information, such as the accreditation thing, This is what the global creditors say we consume or tie up in carbon, why it's a good carbon abatement product. With that information, then the police can go off and whoever it is and go, well, here it is, it's certified, it does this. Carbon is a good thing in the sense with the hemp building, because most buildings produce or cost a lot to run and also create a lot of carbon in the construction and the materials that are made for it. So if we can compete with those products that are going to be available to the builders to build, then it's sort of a lay down misere. We don't need to even think that it's hemp. It's a product that does all these things and it ticks all these boxes and it's affordable. And that's where we need to be. And as a sort of as a concept that people walk around with their polys or whatever, and they just say, well, hempcrete, oh, it's this, that, and the other. They know what it is. They know it's a bit like, cement as compared to weatherboard or something. People know those things. Well, hempcrete will have its own little niche and it'll be up there with the good products. So normalisation will only occur, but it's only because of the facts that it will occur. I don't think people are afraid of hemp as much as a lot of hemp people perceive they are. I think it's just lives off its own laurels or rests on its own laurels, and from that perspective it's going to work its way into it over a period of time, and everybody will be just normalised with it. We've got to prove it first, that's all. And we are, but it's architecturally built houses presently that are affording the hempcrete at the moment, and that's not affordable, but when the average person can afford it, that'll make a big difference, and everybody will want to be in on that. All the builders, all the tenants, all the people who want to buy a first house, they'll all want to be in on that because it's better than something else. Yeah, I think there's been a hiccup. I think the industry has the industrial hemp industry has stumbled quite a lot due to the introduction of medical cannabis. I think that's gone to the front of mind for a lot of people, and I think it's pushed the evolution of this wonderful crop and this wonderful product down a bit to take control of people's minds or thinking, as in the general public. But I think the fibre side of things and the biomass side of things is very much on the rise again. And it's as much, there's this thing, market pull or industry push. And I think what we're getting is a bit of both at the moment, market pull and industry push. So that it'll be only restricted by the availability of finance to do it. And I think that's one of the other things is coming up with financial models that work for affordable carbon housing. And one of those is probably getting the councils that deliver the DAs for construction for houses and saying, listen guys, if you've got 50 houses built out of hempcrete here, you could probably amass or aggregate all that carbon and then be able to offset on your buses or something like that. So it's a credit to the council that it's not only able to have affordable housing built, but it's also carbon better. It will never be perfect, but better in the sense of carbon abatement that they can publicise to attract more people to move in, and the businesses that deal in hempcrete, from the farmers all the way up, are going to add another layer of industry and employment and need for houses from that industry development perspective, and it becomes a bit of a circular economy because that stuff is just growing down the road. Builds panels, those panels out and build houses within a 50-kilometre radius or maybe a 100-kilometre radius, and that is a circular economy there. Well, that money's going around within the economy. So it brings other things, but no one believes that yet. And it'll happen though. Once we get this first lot up, it'll actually prove the case, and then we can replicate that model globally or in Australia or between, it's a demonstration. It works. All you've got to do is follow that lead. Well, the future is always hard to predict. The past is great to look at, and as we know, there's many versions of the past from different perspectives. But the past for hempcrete has been a very long one, and we're talking back nearly 2,000 years. And there are some very interesting examples of that. I won't go into that now, where they've lasted this long. Well, I think there's opportunity as well, and as per if you heard the speech that I made on horse manure in New York, the disruptive nature of what hempcrete is the T-model Ford that obliterates the need for manure because there are less horses and more cars. Now, I'm saying cars are a great thing because they pollute as well, but there's something disruptive comes along, and I think hempcrete is a disruptor because it actually does a lot more than any other combination of products that come together. This is a very simple product, and it's grown locally, or just down the road by farmers. It's just processed locally. I think it's so disruptive that it'll take a little while to grab, but mark my words, in Europe and North America, it is booming. It is really moving forward. And one of the reasons why I set up in the US 2016 or whatever was because if it doesn't happen in America, it won't happen anywhere. They've got the money and the time and the energy and the technologies to be able to do this. That's how they operate. So, but I'm wrong with that. It's happening in Europe, and it's happening well with their technology and their money and their enthusiasm and their need, because they need it actually more than we do. Hempcrete housing, that is. The insulation, they have cold winters, so forth and so on. Healthy homes, all these issues are really important, and they are more compact. That we have sprawling houses. They've got, they're a bit more stacked together or whatever the story is. Yep. So they need it more than we do, but they are moving ahead in a strong form at the moment. I think Australia's got another version of the same concept, and ours will be absolutely wonderful. It'll look glorious. They'll be beautiful houses. They'll be beautiful units, and whatever they will be, we'll come up with some really good stuff, but it will be different to what's going on in Europe. Possibly similar to America, but that's about it. And I think it's going to rapidly happen in the next 5 to 7 years, particularly as all the standards that are coming in for construction in Australia are changing, and those people, these builders, will need to meet those standards, and they'll avoid it as long as they can, but then one day someone's going to pick it up and go, wow, this really works, and it's a shitload easier than what we're doing, and it's all built in, everything there. So that's what I think will happen. We will have a rush probably in about 3 to 5 years towards hempcrete.